What is up, guys? This is going to be my review for The Flash Season 4, Episode 7, titled Therefore I Am. This episode was a refreshing change of pace from what was a somewhat formulaic Season 4 so far. Every episode was just them going up against the metahuman and then losing, except for Episode 1 and 4. I feel like all the other episodes were basically the same, so this was a really nice change of pace with actual story. But this episode was really serious, and I mean like a little bit too serious. If you know what, it wasn't too serious, but if every single DeVoe episode is like this, then it might get a little annoying. It's something that season 3 really struggled with. Like the whole season was really serious. It had almost no humor in it, and that's something season 4 is trying to have a lot of. That's humor. But aside from maybe episode 4, because that was mainly a humorous episode, but had some serious moments. Every episode has been either serious or humorous, and I just feel like you could do both. Why not do both? This episode, you could have just slipped in a little humor in there, and it maybe would have been a little better. But that's really a small problem with this episode. It's really my only problem with this episode. This episode was great. It's my only problem with this episode, so it doesn't make the episode. So this episode's still really good, but I feel like it would have been a little bit better if there was a little bit of humor in there. But like I said, this episode was really good. Like The Thinker, this episode made me confident in the Flash writers. I felt like they might not know what they're doing just because he's not a speedster villain, they've never done that before, so this is like a new thing for them. That's really the only reason I would think that they don't know what they're doing. But this episode proved to me they know what they're doing at The Thinker, and they're doing it great. Seeing The Thinker outsmart Barry at every turn was awesome, and the flashbacks in this episode, which, by the way, the transitions between the flashbacks and the origin and the present day, or the present day and the flashbacks, were really similar to how Arrow does it with the whoosh sound effect. I think that was really cool. But the flashbacks in this episode were really great. We get to see The Thinker's origin story, which is a pretty awesome origin story. I really like how it connected to episode 1. We all knew that he got his powers from the particle accelerator explosion, but it was just really cool to see his point of view of like his perspective of how January 9th, 2013 went. No. What day was it? I don't remember, but the day the particle accelerator exploded, it was really cool to see his perspective on that day. And it was also really cool that Harrison Wells actually knew Clifford DeVoe. You see the way Harrison Wells talked to him, like he's from the future, so he knows he's about to become one of the Flash's greatest enemies. So the way Harrison Wells looked at Clifford DeVoe, knowing that, was really cool. But anyway, the flashbacks made DeVoe one of the most sympathetic villains ever. I mean, they gave him ALS, or the most extreme version of ALS ever. Like, he has half a year to live without the chair. He can barely last a day out of the chair. And that's obviously makes him really sympathetic. And they also gave him, like, a loving wife. He's happily married. And the fact that they made the mechanic his wife is a really cool dynamic I didn't expect to see until the last couple minutes of the last episode. I get now why they gender swapped the mechanic. The mechanic is originally male in the comics, and now she's female. So I think this is like one of the only times where a gender swap actually made sense, and it was for a purpose. It was so they could be married and have that dynamic, and that's a really cool dynamic. That makes the Thinker even more sympathetic, which might be a good thing, might be a bad thing, depending on how evil he is in this season. If he's not that evil, like if he has good intentions but is going about it the wrong way, I might not want Team Flash to beat him. And the interactions between Barry and Clifford DeVoe in this episode, I think we saw 3 of them, and the last one in particular was incredible. It makes me really excited to see them interact more. Although I don't think they're going to have any epic battles, because obviously they're not going to have any epic battles, but I just think those moments where they just talk and argue or whatever, those are moments I'm really looking forward to see more of. So I just think DeVoe looks like a really good villain. Looks like the Flash writers know what they're doing with him, and he was really great in this episode. He was really sympathetic. It was really cool to see him outsmart Team Flash all the time and orchestrate the whole episode, because he basically orchestrated the entire episode. This episode was the most plot-driven episode of the season so far, and while Villain of the Week episodes are fun, they're just not as good. They're fun, but I'd choose good over fun. This episode was really good, and not only because it was really plot-driven, but also because it was really well acted by Grant Gustin especially, and also Neil Sandilands, who plays Clifford DeVoe. There's also great writing in this episode, great storytelling. The Thinker is a great villain. The flashbacks were pretty great. Just in general, this episode was one of the best episodes of The Flash. Like, I'm not even kidding. It was really good. It lacked a little bit of humor, but I could get over that because it's only one episode. One episode without humor is fine. I give this episode a 9.9 out of 10. Let me know what you thought about the episode in the comments down below, and vote in the top right corner of the video. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And also, just to let you know, I'm not going to be making a Legend of Tomorrow episode review today. I'm making it tomorrow, just because there's no trailers. There's no extra trailers for the next episodes of The Flash and Legend of Tomorrow. It's the same trailer as the Supergirl one. So usually when I make Legend of Tomorrow episode reviews, I'm a little tired because I just made a Flash review, and it's later in the day. It's like, usually when I start the Legend of Tomorrow review, it's like 8:30 at night, maybe like 8:45. So really, I'm really tired. Maybe Legend of Tomorrow reviews usually aren't as good just because I'm that tired. So I think it just makes more sense to do it tomorrow, just because I don't have any other videos to make tomorrow. Thanks for watching.